I was just thinking if I didn't say anything, you would all be wondering, is this thing on? Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Abby Hagyard, and this is Thursday, the 20th of February, 2025, where I am. I know that Sky, you're in England, and I know that we're already halfway through the day. That's what you eager early starters are doing. So we have stuff to talk about today. And before I kind of jump in, first thing I want to say is, by the way, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being here before. Thank you for saying to yourself, you know what? I'm going to do that again. And thank you so much for telling people. Thank you for saying, you know, if you're not busy, even if you're busy, you kind of want to check this out. I appreciate that. I appreciate it enormously because we're all in this together. So I'm going to have a quick sip of my morning welcoming beverage. Good morning, Charles. How's Cat? So every time I greet Charles, I'm sure you're all wondering what. So I met Charles quite a long time ago because he watched You Can't Do That on Television. And he reached out on social media and said, hi. And we began to talk. And then the most wonderful thing happened last year. He and his wife, Kat, came up to Ottawa, came to Canada, came to Brockville to see Dougie from the show, and came up to Ottawa to hang out in the nation's capital. And it rained all the time they were here. And we got to hang out. We got to go and see some pretty cool things that Canada's pretty famous for. And we had some great meals, and we did some driving around, and we got to connect. They got to come here and see all my stuff. Oh, that's so good. Kat had a fall and her ankle was kind of painful. And good morning, Daniel. And so now she's healing. Excellent. And then, you know, since the visit, we stay in touch and we talk about all kinds of things. And this is what this connection is all about. Exactly what I'm describing right here with Charles and Kat and all of you. You're ready to return to Canada? Well, I gotta tell you, your timing has to be better because if you'd come last weekend, you would have said, and here we thought the rain was bad. We got so much snow. And last night, in the middle of the night, there's this great thumping. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And I looked out the window and there were all these trucks lined up and this bulldozer piling the snow. There was snow 10 feet high that had swallowed up 30 parking spaces in the university parking lot across the street. 30 parking spaces, 10 feet high. And this morning, it is gone as though it never was. This is what we call progress. This is what we call timing. And so, good morning, Chris. You and I need to chat fairly soon about some cool stuff. And congratulations, everybody. Chris Wilkes did an extraordinary thing. He represented the Unforgettables at Pensacon, the fan event held in Pensacola, Florida. And it was certainly not his first fan convention, but it was a big responsibility, him walking around wearing our jacket, and he did us proud. And so thank you, Chris, for being simply awesome and for introducing all of us to all the people that you ran into and for representing our name and our wristbands and all that. It's perfect. So I'm talking today about those 5 extra minutes that we all have said, oh, just five more minutes, 5 extra minutes. I just need 5 more minutes. When I was a little kid, I used to do it all the time. They would send me to bed and I would stall, do little dances, make them laugh. And then finally my father would say, stop milking the act. And then I would go to bed and I would read, and I would be in there reading under the covers. And there'd be this knock on the top of my head. And I'd say, 5 more minutes? Nope. Haul back the covers, hand me the book. So my whole life, 5 more minutes, 5 extra minutes, please, just 5 extra minutes has been a thing. And this is the topic of the video today. Before I get there, I want to explain something to you. This is my Viking ancestors who traveled a great deal. Um, we we have a lot of things to be grateful for. No matter what is going on, we have a lot of things to be grateful for. I personally am grateful to even be here. I was in a massive car accident when I was in my teens. No reason I'm here, unless, of course, was to cause the utmost damned astonishment for a few more decades. Um, I have lived through the deaths of my parents. I have lived through fairly recently the death of a very, very dear, sweet, wonderful friend. I have seen things improve and not improve. I have had my life turned upside down by frivolous, malicious, um, blacklist, show busy things, and I have come through it. I have seen people uh, promise and not deliver and pretend they had never promised, as have we all, as have we, all of us, been through these surprises, these disappointments, these setbacks, and each and every time, what has occurred to me, what has dawned on me, is that each and every time, what helps is if we, instead of looking at the shock event as why is this happening to me, if instead we look at this shock event as a crossroads, as an opportunity to reassess the choices we've made and the choices we wish to make. Because at a crossroads, we have many opportunities. And every time there is something terrible, we have the chance to create something different, to try a different way, to do better, to be better, to lean into it differently. I always say that it irks me when motivational trainers say you got to do more to be more, you got to try harder. And I don't agree that it's possible for us to be more than we are. I think we already are all that there is. Mostly what happens is we aren't aware. Sometimes what happens is we're overwhelmed and confused and exhausted. And sometimes we choose not. We choose to step aside to say, I will not engage in this either way. And I've always felt that if we look at it as a chance to do something different, that our focus is on the excitement and the curiosity and the wonder and the enthusiasm at being handed another opportunity, rather than poor me, rather than why is it always me? Because those questions, those statements don't get us anywhere. My dad always used to accuse me of stalling when I tried to stay up later. What I was, how I like to look at it was perfecting my opening act. I was always, trying to come up with some way to distract them and get them organized and rethinking their decision to send me to bed. And my father would just eventually say, and I would go. If we have an opportunity to try again, if we have an opportunity to rethink where we are, if we have that wonderful surprise door opening before us, and it's scary as hell, and the wind is howling, and it might be precipitating, and it might be a place we've never been, but the door is open. It isn't firmly closed against us. We have opportunity. It's up to us to decide what we do with it. That is how pretty much all of my reversals and setbacks have challenged me. It's exhausting, and I'm not saying I don't fall down, and I'm not saying that I've never said, why me? I certainly have. I've certainly been frustrated. I had a small moment yesterday when three I don't want to say they're negative. Three challenging things happened because they weren't negative. But I just, for a moment, I took them as kind of a now what moment. But then I realized that they were an extraordinary opportunity to explain something to people and also to recognize something in me. And before I kick into the topic today, there are two words that I would like you to take note of and think about as we're talking, okay? And the two words are scope, creep. Scope creep is defined generally as something we assessed at a certain size, weight, height, value, kind of blurring, overpouring the numbers. We thought it was 7 pounds, it's 7.5. We thought it was 15 minutes, it's 27. We thought it was only going to challenge us a little bit, and we're exhausted. We thought it was 6 essays and a report, and it's 17 essays and 6 reports. That is scope creep. In the contract we originally sign, that we read and sign, it said this much, and where we are now is that it has grown. It has grown and taken on a different shape, and it is requiring more of us than we had expected. That's scope creep. Now, I'm not thinking of it today as external scope creep. I'm thinking of it as internal scope creep. So we're gonna take that little nugget and run with it right after I have another sip of this. So good. Okay. I said this morning in the title of our talk, good morning, Freddie. I said in the title of our talk, what would you do if you had 5 extra minutes? And I kind of cheated. I kind of cheated in the title. It's kind of a little trick I played on all of us, because I don't mean 5 additional minutes. I don't mean 5 minutes plus 5 minutes more. I mean 5 better minutes, 5 richer minutes, 5 exuberant, delicious, flavorful, enriching, supporting, nurturing minutes. What would you do if you were able to say, okay, it's this time. When the big hand hits this number, I'm giving myself 5 spectacular minutes. Completely selfish, completely nourishing, rewarding, serving, supporting, healing, delicious minutes. 5, that's it. I want to explain to you what happens when we, first of all, make that decision. When we begin the 5 minutes, how we are as we move through those 5 minutes, and how we feel at the end of those 5 minutes. If we give ourselves permission to indulge in something healing, nurturing, fabulous, magical, exciting, distracting, comforting, 5 beautiful minutes, 5 stunning, unforgettable minutes. It is a complete reset in every possible way. And I will explain why. When we begin something, whatever it is, any action, and we continue and we progress and we move along in this action, in this function, whatever it is, name it, it all applies. we eventually achieve a kind of momentum. It's like anything that starts, it starts slow. It's there's a bit of a reluctance, a bit of push to override inertia, to override status quo, because status quo is powerful. That's why it's the status quo. But once we get over that little hump and we are in a moment, the longer we're in that moment, the more fluid, the more natural, the more spontaneous, and the better and more comfortable and relaxed and fluid everything flows. Everything reaches a state of natural momentum with nothing holding it back. If in the middle of that flow, we introduce the ubiquitous stick in the spokes, and I'll explain that in a second, everything comes to an immediate halt. There is no winding down. We go from 100% to nothing right now. That is jarring. That is a complete standstill from a full-on momentum. That is stunning. That stops us completely in every way for a split second. For a very teensy-weensy split second, everything goes and then it picks up again. It's part of the freeze and hide mechanism. When there is an ungodly surprise element, loud, sharp, sudden, firm, heavy, everything freezes and then begins again. The freeze is to make sure we're safe. It's ancient. What happens when we begin again is that we don't begin right back in the flow. That flow is gone. To get back to that flow, we begin again, right at the beginning, right at the okay now. I got my car keys, I got my head, I got my hat, I got my wallet, I got my shoes on, I'm in the car. Let's start again. And what that does in that full-on disrupt is it creates a break that gives us time to think, that gives us time to shift out of autopilot and say, now then, why am I doing this? What's in this for me? And rethink what we're doing, rethink why we're doing and how we're doing. Reassess is what our moment of disruption delivers to us. Why that matters is because we have a tendency, and this is also a survival mechanism, to hand off a lot of our behaviors to our subconscious so that our conscious brain can think about other stuff. Subconscious just drives the car. Subconscious just goes into the store and always buys the thing we've always bought. Even after we crossed it off the list and said, we must not buy this anymore. Subconscious says, put it in the cart. Why? Because we've always put it in the cart. Don't mess with me. I have stuff. So what does 5 extra beautiful, fulfilling, nurturing, supporting, enabling, attaboying 5 minutes do for you, for me, for all of us? It clears the page. It gives us that shot of good air. It allows us to see what we're actually doing, what we're looking at. It gives that part of our brain saying a chance to say, are you listening to you? What the hell? Oof. Why and how do we let ourselves get carried away? Because it's familiar, because it's a habit. And because of scope creep, I told you, good morning, good morning. If I always cross the street here, it then becomes something I always do because I've always done it. If I, without feeling clear, have a hesitation about something, I have choices. I have choices to find out what the hesitation is about or just keep on hesitating. Once I have momentum behind me, once I have habit behind me, I no longer question. I just do. I no longer pause and say, I wonder why I do that. I just do it. And when someone challenges me, why do you do that? I don't like being challenged. Challenge feels like danger. Challenge feels like something is hurting me or stopping me or preventing me from living my life. And I will defend my habit because it's my habit, even though I have stopped thinking about why I do it, even though I have long forgotten why I did it the first time. And then when somebody challenges me again, more often than not, I will come up with a reason on the spur of the moment to make it okay. Because I always done it. And besides, fiction. And I don't question it because I'm in a momentum. So when it happens again, you can't seriously, I am, and I'll defend it again. And then I'll find somebody else who feels equally pushed and shoved and questioned. And the two of us will stand together and say, who do they think they are questioning us like that? And we won't spend any time thinking about that first decision. We won't re-examine it. We won't say to each other, you don't suppose we're wrong, do you? I mean, why are they asking? Is there something they know that we don't? We don't do that. Why? Because we've been challenged. And all we're doing is maintaining the status quo, whatever the status quo might be. Even if it's not fun, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's awkward, even if it's costly. Why? Because the status quo feels safe. It feels safe because it's familiar. But it doesn't mean that it really is safe. It doesn't mean that it really is good for us. We've always had this much sugar in our coffee. Have you thought of trying something else? Why? Because things change? Well, I'm not giving that up. Who do they think they are telling me I can't this? Why are you so angry? Why are you not curious? Why are you not wondering why somebody asked you the question? Did they ask it the wrong way? Maybe they asked it the wrong way. Maybe you're having a really bad day and all you didn't need was one more person making you feel like you were having a really bad day. Maybe that's all there was. I had the most interesting day yesterday. So they're cutting a hole. Well, they've already done it. But the plan was to cut a hole in the middle of my hallway. Why? My little, when you walk into an apartment, there's a hallway. Right? They're going to cut a hole in the wall in order to put a water meter in. Okay. Okay. Where? Well, just at the end here. All right. How long is that going to take? Well, it's half an hour. But then we'll have to come back and patch it later and then paint it. Will that be the same day? No. Okay. So it's going to be more than one day then. Oh, yeah. So I'm working. I come out. We're done. Thank you. And I look at it and I'm thinking, well, that's okay. That's a odd place to put a hole. how am I going to cover that up? It's large. It's this big. It's this big by that big right there. And it's a foot off the ground. Okay, let's see how they patch it. So a week goes by. I can't put anything in front of it because there it is. It's a hole. And there's all kinds of stuff in there that I didn't want to look at. So I moved something in front of it. There, done. And then they said, oh, yeah, we also cut a hole in the laundry room. What? So I opened the cupboard and there's another hole exactly the same, about a foot away from it. Why? Why did you do? Well, that's hot water and that's cold water. Okay. On my wall. I mean, I'm renting the wall, but it's not my wall. So week goes by. Guy comes back and he says, I'm here to patch and paint. Alrighty then. So I'm working away. He says, I'm done. Okay. I'm still working. Hear the door slam. I come out. And the hole has mostly been patched and painted. He's left a smaller hole that is for the access panel to actually put in the thing. Okay. And there is a cover for the panel. There's a cover that goes over it. Yeah. So my wall is gray. You can see the walls are gray. Walls are gray and the trim is white. Yep. So the wall that he patched is now gray. Perfect. The panel cover, however, is white. He had the gray paint. He had the gray paint. No. So it's a white square in the wall. So, okay. Looked in the laundry room. No, in the laundry room, the wall is white, panel's white. Okay. So a week goes by and I'm staring at it and I'm losing my mind about it. I'm losing my mind about it because I now have an elephant in my hallway. The elephant in the room is this square. And it's not exactly what you'd call kidney dialysis conversation here, right? But the point I'm making is that it creates an undercurrent, right? It creates an undercurrent because every time I walk by it to go to the laundry thing, I'm looking at that white square and I'm thinking to myself, no, we got to fix that. So I did come up with a fix and it made me laugh hard. And what it is, it's a painting and it's exactly the size of the panel cover. And it's a picture of a gray elephant sitting on a branch. A gray elephant sitting on a gray branch, and the branch is overhanging an endless body of gray water. The elephant has its back to us. The elephant is just looking off into the forever water, and everything's gray. I thought, yeah, that's my elephant in the room. All right. So that was, and now we wait for the people because we, can't put anything back yet because they have to come in and actually put in the meter. All right. So they come yesterday and the fellow with the meter says, why is the hole in the laundry room smaller than the hole out here? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm still wondering why the cover is white on a gray wall. And there's two guys doing the meters and both guys looked at it and said, huh. And I said, good. All right, fine. So they said, well, did he ask you if you wanted a smaller? And I said, no, why would he ask me? I don't know anything. So we have to call somebody and the somebody has to come and stare at the too small hole and then says, for heaven's sake. So he has to go away and get a new panel cover and then he has to cut the hole so it's the same size as the one outside, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the 15-minute fix is now an hour and a half by the time everybody has gone. And then I put everything back in the laundry room. And of course, it will all change again at some point when they have to come and turn on the meter to attach the meter. They've just put it in for all the apartments. Fine. But in the meantime, it has been an hour and a half of people overcoming someone else's previous distracted action. Somebody who habitually white wall, paint the cover white, have two covers, paint them both white, forget the fact that the second wall is gray, put the cover on, white, got it, leave. Wait, he was gone. Presumably he did that in all the apartments. I wonder if there's a sale on paintings of elephants looking at water. And so when the fellows left, and I sat there and I thought, This is something that I think of as back burner heat. That's what today felt like. I thought it was going to be a 10-minute interrupt. I moved everything out of everybody's way so that they had their 10-minute interrupt. But it didn't turn out to be 10 minutes. It turned out to be an hour and a half. And within the hour and a half, there was nothing terrible. No one lost their life. No one was overwhelmed by something cataclysmic. No one burst into tears and fell to the ground. No one clutched at their chest and had to be rushed off anywhere. It was just a small irritant. It was the third of 3 irritants. And each one got dumber than the previous one because it involved more people. And things are contagious. So you don't just get 3 people irritated, you get exponential irritation. And then the ripple effects come to me. And then when it's finally over and I come back and I sit down here and I look around and I think, now then, where the hell was I? Because I have to clear all of that yuck out of my head in order to do something creative and positive and exciting and nurturing. So it wasn't an hour and a half. It was a complex series of distorted, distracted, destroyed moments of connection and creativity. And what that does is it undermines everything because all the molecules are connected. Everything that's doing everything is doing everything together. We're all in this together. And when I was looking, happily looking back at what I had decided was going to be the topic today, and I thought, it's 5 extra minutes. It's 5 better minutes. It's 5 healing minutes to override and compensate for 5 toxic minutes, 5 ho-hum, boring, hollow minutes, of which there are far too many because of scope creep. How do we give us the permission? Restarting the show. Yeah. How do we give ourselves permission to do that? To say, I deserve 5 better minutes. And then how do we physically? What are the steps, Abby? Where is the instruction booklet? What are the tools and how do I use them? Enough of the blather. Tell us how we get from empty to fulfilled. Filled full. How do we get from empty to filled full? And the answer is choosing a feeling. What is it that we want to feel? It's very simple, very few steps. What is it that we want to feel? Pick the emotion, pick the feeling, pick the word. Once you've chosen the emotion, the feeling, the word, write the word down. Give yourself permission to look at it and say, this is my gift to me. I'm giving myself that feeling, that emotion, this word for the next 5 minutes. Look at the clock. Look at the clock. Figure out the time. Write it down. And say, here we go. And whatever it is you're doing the dishes, you're folding socks, you're wondering why there's only one in the dryer. It doesn't matter. You're looking at the list of things you need to complete today. You're getting it done. You're doing the workout. You're doing half the workout. You're refilling the toilet roll container. Any small series of mundane things that are on your 5-minute list of to-dos today, you have the theme word. The theme word represents the emotion and the feeling. What is the theme word? Any word that is fulfilled. filling and say, tally ho. Set the timer. Don't keep looking at the clock to see how much 5 minutes you've got. Allow yourself to get caught up in the momentum. Allow yourself to just dive into whatever it is you're doing. But you've written the word down. It's right there. It's right there. And every so often when your eyes move, you reach up your coffee, there's the word. And you grin. And you will grin every time you see it. Oh, yeah. And you can be tempted to look at the clock and think, I've got all this for 4 more minutes, for 3 more minutes. Wow. Because what you are doing is you are filling the moments full of the gift to you. It is your gift. You deserve it. You have earned it. Not righteous indignation, not lists of things to pack when we're going to go and do this. Oh, no. Whatever it is that you were planning to do anyway. But you're doing it while you're flying a different flag. It's written right in front of you. If you have Post-it notes, write the word on the Post-it note. Put it right above your screen, above your monitor, on your phone, on your desk, wherever it is. Give yourself permission. Remind yourself, oh yeah, look at the clock. Wow. At the end of the 5 minutes, the little bell will go off, the little ting, and you get to stop and say the word. Say the word you wrote down, the one that was giving you permission to feel something, to think something, to behave in that way. You know that later folder? Come up with a word that describes how you feel and write it down. Take that deep breath, the lower one. You can even do a bit of stretch if you want. Get your shoulders back. And then carry on. 5 extra minutes. 5 more minutes. 5 awesome minutes. And if you liked it, when you look at your later folder at the end of the day, if you liked it, you know what you can do tomorrow? Give yourself 5 more. When I realized what I had done without even thinking, without even delving deeply, when I thought up the title for today, when I thought up the theme for today, when I realized what I had actually had in mind, I was smiling all over my face. When I had my incremental surprises and frustrations, the kind of eye rolls that you have to stop yourself from falling backwards. And at the end of the day, because I had a couple of extra things then happen on top of that, at the end of it, I said, all right, here's the plan, Stanley. We're good. We have this in hand. The follow-up conversations that I had after my fascinating hour and a half were opportunities for me to recognize that I had not given myself or my other people permission to discuss properly the concept we were now confused about. I had assumed, they had assumed, okay, let's have a second look. Let's rethink. How do we make this work? How do we make this purposeful? And oh, by the way, exciting, not threatening, not overwhelming. I had not done that. I had not given us that gift. That's what I was thinking about yesterday. And then this morning, when I realized what I'd done with my 5 extra minutes, I looked at the challenge that I was going to have to deal with from yesterday, and I thought, bagatelle, we got this. Because why? Because all that good air, all of that relax, all of that nurture, all of that support, all of that heal that I had given myself permission to own had put everything back in its proper perspective. It hadn't occurred to me that I was down a quart in confidence and competence because of that hour and a half, that I was distracted, that I kept looking at it, and therefore I wasn't fully present. I wasn't giving my 100%. I had other things going on, so I was giving 100% of something, not enough. And I felt it. I didn't like it. And so with all of that said, I want to segue now to all the conversations that we are seeing, that we are hearing, that we are feeling, that are drifting over and under and around and through us. That there are angry voices, that there are people folding their arms and resisting challenge to the things they believe in the way that I described. Something that was a random act became something I had to defend, gave me purpose in my resentment and my anger and who do they think they are, rather than giving me permission in my aha moment that I had done something without really thinking. And now I have the opportunity to decide if it was a good decision or an unhelpful decision. I get to rethink, I get to recalibrate, I get to reset, or dig my heels in, close my eyes, fold my arms, refuse to consider that there might be another way to see it. And that is what we are experiencing right now. And in no small part, we are seeing ripples and ripples and ripples upon ripples because we are so connected through our technology to so many places and faces and spaces around the world. It feels overwhelming. It feels like a tsunami. But I'll tell you something, that in direct proportion to rage, there is joy, because that's physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There never isn't. So if somebody is angry and willing to squash, there is somebody proud and rising up. It is the way it works. It is physics. What happens eventually with physics is it achieves balance, because that's the nature of nature. While we are in the rocking boat because the ripples are high, the waves are high, because the resistance and the change and the voices are loud, that's the breaking wave moment. What? How dare you? But I'll tell you something I learned in theater. I learned a lot of stuff in theater. If you walk on stage screaming, you got nowhere to go. If you walk on stage sobbing, you got nothing to do. If you walk on stage laughing hysterically, you're pretty much done. Because what do you do after that if you have nothing in mind? There are 3 ways to deal with conflict. One is to lean in. One is to step aside and just let it happen. And the third one is to agree to discuss, to find a mutually shared way forward. That third way is the balanced way. And we don't usually achieve balance right away. So my advice, speaking from my tiny corner of the world, my Abby mom advice, my Abby Care Bears advice, my Abby Eleanor Tweig advice, Ellie Patterson advice is this. We are all in it together. If you say, all of you, be gone, everything falls apart. It takes a while to achieve balance, but it is achievable, and it is always easier to achieve sooner when we have given ourselves permission to experience 5 full, filled minutes of peace and nurturing and cherishing and quiet joy. Because then we have the resources, we have the perspective, we have the clear eye, we have the focus to start again and remember why we came. Do you want 5 extra minutes? Is it still not clear to you how we achieve it? You know where to find me. And here's a little plug. Once you have tried it one time, it will become one of the unforgettables that you will be ready, willing, and eager to try again. I guarantee it. So with that said, we have a weekend upon us. We have many things that we are doing, catching up on. I have something very, very exciting to show you next week. Dave Keogh and I have been working on this beautiful, beautiful, important piece of art that says so much. And it's kind of going to be our flagship vision for the way forward. Can't wait to share it with you. And other than that, we have, a few little tedious pre-spring cleaning things to do, as we all do. So for those of you who are overwhelmed, we have your back. You can reach out. You can find me on these social media platforms. You can reach out and say, did I hear correctly that you provide guidance and information and coaching for people? And the answer is yes. Yeah. I call it Abby Mom Advice, and I call it Care Bears Abby Advice, and so on, because those characters are part of me. And I allowed them to flourish for their moment in the sun. However, for you, if you've remembered them, they are still alive and well. And I want to give you an opportunity to spend some time with them if that's going to help. 2 other things, very cool to tell you just before I sign off. I am on Cameo. I joined Cameo, and I had my first Cameo gig for Valentine's Day. And it was very cool, very exciting. So if you want Abby or Mom or the Care Bears or whomever, if you need or want or crave a video or an audio greeting for any reason, you can find me on Cameo. Won't that be cool? I can't wait to do more of those. It's such a lot of fun. And then the other thing, Twitch. So my primary platforms where these are broadcast immediately, Facebook and YouTube and Twitch are the simulcast streams. Twitch has a storefront. And you can watch more of the things that we're going to be doing starting very soon, more things on Twitch. You can also shop at our Twitch store. And we are very, very busy populating it with all sorts of really cool things that you can buy. So that's exciting. That's unfolding. I am just over the moon. So between now and next week, between the days here, coming, and so on, until I see you again, gift yourself those 5 minutes. be good to you. You deserve it. Everyone around you deserves that you give yourself those 5 minutes, because then they selfishly get the best of you. It has this ripple effect. Everyone wins when you choose to give yourself 5 extra minutes. And remember to hug your loved ones, because they deserve it too. Thank you so much for watching. 334 episodes. Can you believe it? It's really very, very cool. You know what's coming very soon? 500. I mean, it's right around the corner. I can't believe it. So, as I said, you are the best part of my videos. You make this work. Your comments are awesome. And if you do need to reach out to me, if you do need advice, if you do want to find out about this training subscription thing that I have, that I'm getting started, you know where to find me. And I am happy to fill you in. Have a great weekend. Be good to you. I will catch you